what are you doing to help those buyers meet their investment goals in this short inventory market?
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Crystal is a real estate investor and team leader of the Investors Gone Wild team at eXp Realty. In 2021, she sold 22 million and signed 200 short-term rentals with two of the top leading U.S. vacation rental companies. So we are so excited to have you on and can't wait to hear from you.
Hey, Crystal, how you doing?
That's great.
Glad to finally talk to you. You got a very, very robust team, and also investor focused. So I was like, hey, you'll be perfect for this show. So how are you seeing 2020 shape out for real estate? What's going to happen?
2022 next year.
Yeah, did I say 2021?
You said 2020. You're a little behind the times.
Oh, 2020. What's going on here? Yeah, no, 2022.
Yeah,
no one wants to go back to 2020.
No, let's not
That's
do
a
that.
forgotten year.
Yeah, that was a little more of a challenge. Well, this year's been a lot busier, that's for sure. But going into 2022, at least in our market down in Panama City Beach, Florida, we are gearing up for another really insanely busy year because all indicators are our inventory is still at like 1,200 available units listed in MLS, where I was at 2,200 when I started. So we're under half of what we normally have. And as you hit 1031 season and all the new tax money gets here, we get very, very busy we're very seasonal in January, mid-January to June was our busiest time. As everybody spends those tax dollars. So we're gearing up for a lot of activity. What's also happening down here is Jacksonville, Tampa, and Orlando are the three fastest growing markets in Florida, and the Villages outgrew all of them. That's a 55 plus retirement community. And they have just started a ground up here off of Highway 79 for a Margaritaville themed retirement community. So we've got a lot of infrastructure changes with the biggest developer from 30A moving over here. So the whole culture shift here is looking like it'll be a very good, positive outlook in real estate this year.
How is that impacting short-term rentals? Because that's been a very, I personally believe it's a young market that has been growing just rapidly. More and more operators are coming on board. COVID made it very convenient to or desirable to experience short-term rentals if you've never done it before. So how is that going to shape out?
Well, and to your point on COVID affecting it, that was one of the things that I was going to mention as to how it's transitioned so many more buyers into our market. What we saw in the very heavily shut down states like California, Illinois, and New York, we had a massive influx of investors coming from those markets because our governor is very pro open business, and so we had a lot of activity out of those states. And just in general, people can work from home and restructure their lives. And we're seeing a lot of that. And where better to do that than at our beautiful beaches? So we're seeing a massive shift in just how everyone works and because of all that. So I think that's one of the reasons our market's growing so fast. Plus, just the difference between the South Florida culture is a little more high-paced, more urbanized. It's still more rural here. A lot of people like that down home. They call us the redneck Riviera here. So it's a little more retro. So we're seeing a lot of growth up here for sure.
Are you seeing? So short-term rentals has impacted prices because now certain communities, certain markets, there's a whole new exit strategy to it that never existed before. They're too expensive to rent long term, but hey, now that we have a platform to very easily rent short term, that it's a whole new buyer pool that otherwise wouldn't be there. I mean, at that point, the only other people that want it are secondary homes or primary retirement type homes. So are you going to do you expect that to continue into 22 as hot as it was? And because 2021, that was, I think, a lot more people were starting to realize that.
Yes.
You see that continuing?
I do. It depends on the regulatory changes. The 30A market in Destin, they just proposed some new legislations that will really impact short-term rentals if it's passed, because they're proposing restriction by number of cars on the property. So that'll be some massive restrictions, and that'll really upset the apple cart there. Panama City Beach is very pro travel, very pro industry. We have about 6 million visitors a year. So especially on the east and west ends of our beaches, they're county regulated, and there's not much restriction in that space. In the city, it's like a drunk person drew a line on what's allowed or not. So in the in the city locations, it's more. There could be more legislation changes that would cause more of that. I know I personally bought in a short-term allowed neighborhood. It's 3 blocks off the beach. It should be. And I'm just selling out of that property right now and then flipping into something on the water that is short-term allowed. So I know my property values were impacted at least 80 to 100,000 is what we see as a difference in short-term allowed or not in our market. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. We bought in one that it was allowed, but once they found out that it was allowed, they very quickly solved that and then sued us. So that wasn't fun. But we have another one like a few miles away. It was frustrating because it was an amazing lakefront property.
It is very frustrating because our MLS board did not even put that as an option to check the checkbox short-term allowed or not until about 8 months ago. Mm-hmm. There's still so much lack of knowledge among most of the realtor base here because I sold one this year. It said short-term allowed, and when we called the city to verify it, it's not. And my clients had bought it as a short. And so the realtor, even the real estate based here, they're not as educated on that. I worked on the property management side for 3 years. After I bought my first condo, I hired the largest property management company in the U.S. to manage mine. And so but I went to work for them in sales. And so I got to learn a lot about the zoning restrictions very quickly. Yeah. So it's either from a city level or an HOA level, but it impacts it either way for sure.
Absolutely. 100%. And that's why it's important to not go into these, especially if short-term rental, because that is very regulation unique. Work with an agent and a team that knows what they're doing, has experience in that. So for let's talk buyers. So you work with investor buyers because you're an invested agent at our brand here. So you work with other investors, they're buyers. You help them get into deals. It's been a little frustrating. Do you expect that? Frustrating is an accurate word. I'm just trying to think of another way to do it. What are you doing to help those buyers meet their investment goals in this short inventory market?
Well, it's really knowing how to comp like a champ. That's a lot of it. And he mentioned wholesalers. Even some of our wholesalers, I've been able to pick up some really good deals because they don't know how to run accurate ARV. Being on the listing side a lot as well, because I've done about equal on both sides of the transactions. I know how to look at that ARV, and then we do a lot of educating with clients on how to bring it to its highest and best value. What we see in this market in particular is a very low inventory of rental ready homes. There's a lot of repairs needed in a lot of ours, but it's very challenging on the labor side. So I personally run rehab crews all year because we couldn't find a way to get these homes purchased otherwise. So we've come up with some very creative solutions for our investors to get them in, some very good deals on properties that can't sell at top value, or the ones that are selling at top value. When I call them with that deal, I mentally prep them beforehand. When I call you, you need to be ready to buy. So we get everything ready on the front end so that when that deal does come, because I've sold so many this year, I've run over within hours of it listing on the MLS and we lock it down. And so because and a lot of the realtors who are not really investors, they don't know how to price. I sold one as a long-term portfolio. He had a great long-term portfolio in Texas. This was their first short-term rental. It was brand new construction, just a few blocks off the beach. It listed at $250 a square foot, where I was selling used inventory at $280 a square foot. So I knew that was too low.
Yeah.
I beat out 12 offers to get it for them. They're thrilled with it, and they already have instant equity in the home. So it really is just connecting with the right agent who knows how to negotiate, because there's deals in any market in any situation.
Yeah, and if you can, because it's an equity game, like holding properties is an equity game. as long as you can wait it out. Now you have to,
Exactly.
there's real money involved and there's cash flow situations. So you have to make a smart decision. But if you can make the numbers work, even if it does take a little bit more out of your pocket to get the deal done, you're probably going to be able to pull that out in 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Probably of course, there's no way to guarantee that. You never know what can happen, but the way things are going and the way things look, 3 to 5 years, there's a high probability that you'll be able to take it out, get that money back, put it wherever else you need. So I just tell people, like, just control the asset. That's all you want to do. And heck, you can even bring partners. And like,
Absolutely.
if it's going to cost you 30 grand to get into a deal and you only have 10, and you definitely don't want to spend all 10, like, there's a lot of people that have the extra 20, 25, 30 or whatever that you can bring in that'll help you, because they want deals too. They just,
Right.
they don't have the deal. You get the deal, they get the money, make a deal together.
Right. And that's how I have a new business partner. We're launching a vacational company ourselves. And that's how that I worked with him. He was looking to grow a short-term rental portfolio. He needed a nanny to help and a cleaner, and he needed a handyman. And so every point along the way, whatever he was looking to solve, I solved all those problems. And now we're partnering together because and I've handed him several of my personal deals this year that I would have put under contract. And they're very, very solid deals. Like the one we're under contract on 2 side by side. Mine's 60,000. I got the appraisal in yesterday at 60,000 under market value. His is going to come in about 125 under market. So it's there's still, you just have to know how to look for it, and a lot of it's a waiting game. I do have quite a few clients that work with some wholesalers, but I have found some really great deals on MLS when you wait until they're aged inventory and then you negotiate really well. I'm finding a lot of great stuff that way. You have to wait it out.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure. Look forward to working with you more
Absolutely.
in the future here. So
Yep.
How can folks reach out to you?
They can email me at crystal.chaillou, CHAILLOU @exprealty.com. And we will have a new website up and running Q1.
Look forward to it.